Did we invent maths or did we discover maths, right? Travis, mate, podcast, is that crap, right? I don't know, bro. What do you think? Of course I'm leaving that in, right? Let's do it again. Travis, mate, podcast, or Travis, mate, podcast. The best kept secret. You know why? Because it's real people doing real things, right? By liking and subscribing to this channel, you help shows like mine, right? Podcasts like mine permeate the internet, and you help to keep freedom of speech free, right? Don't forget, check out my main channel at CNCCMI. Like, I thought I was feeling quite jovial this morning there, but maybe it's just the energy from all the extra coffees, right? Who bloody knows these days, right? See how I code switch on my accent and my voice, right? Because it's entertaining. Anyway, today reaction style video. You know what we do on these channels, right? Well, these channels. You know what we do on these days, right? Boom, YouTube shorts, reaction. Get my initial reaction, then a response if I have one to give. Let's go.
One day, Albert Einstein was teaching his class and wrote on the board, 9 times 1 equals 9, 9 times 2 equals 18, 9 times 3 equals 27, and he continued all the way up to 9 times 10 equals 91. The class broke out in laughter because Einstein made a mistake. The correct answer to 9 times 10 is obviously 90, not 91, and the students began to make fun of him. Einstein waited for everyone to be silent and said, "Despite the fact that I analyzed 9 problems correctly, no one congratulated me. But when I made one mistake, everyone started laughing. This means that even if a person is successful, society will notice even the slightest mistake." So today's reminder to you is that mistakes are a part of the process. Because as Einstein once said, the only person who never makes a mistake is someone who does nothing. One day,
yeah, that kind of makes sense, but yeah, big up Einstein. You know how random that is, right? Big up Einstein, right? I've come across Einstein a few times in different things I've looked at it, but I'm no scientist, right? I love science and I think science should be more mainstream, but disclaimer, I'm no scientist anyway, right? So what Einstein just not explained, but like he metaphored, right, by teaching these kids, is the cognitive negative bias, right? So your mind has a negativity bias when it spots one problem, it instantly wants to solve it, right? Or it instantly looks at a list of issues, right? Or a list of things and picks out the most negative, right? Because it stands out from all of the... Because most of life is good, right? Whether you want to admit it or not, most of life is pretty good, right? And it's because so much of life is good, it just seems like it just blends in, right? You take these memories and experiences for granted. But the moment something bad happens, it sticks out in your day, right? It sticks out in the math equation problem. That's wrong, right? You know what I'm saying? But yeah, that is actually a cognitive bias thing that we have. I don't know the actual science of it, but pseudoscience, you know, sometimes I try to sound way more intellectual than I actually am, right? I'm working on it. I'm trying to become a better orator, right? I'm trying to become better at speaking, right? And actually conveying what I think and what I know and what I've learned, right? So no one's special, just like you, right? Remember that. So yeah, it's true that if you never make a mistake, chances are you've never really tried to do anything, right? Because part of the learning process, the discovery process in anything you get into is making mistakes, right? And learning on the way. If you jump into something and you're perfect at it from the beginning, you have to ask yourself, am I perfect at this, or am I doing this at such a low level that there's no room for growth, right? Because in life there is nothing that has achieved perfection, otherwise there'd be no room for anything else. That would, in that subject matter, that would encompass everything. There's nothing else to be had, to see, to understand, because it's perfect, it's perfect, it's perfection, right? So you have to ask yourself, if you have never made a mistake in a particular area, or even in your life, have you really never made a mistake, or has no one ever pulled you up about your mistake, right? Or, you know what I'm saying? Or you've never done anything to such a high level where it required you to learn and process information through trial and error. Because yes, it is important. Now, if we just look at the creative world and the creative aspect of doing things, human error is essential, right? In art, in music, human error is what makes it special, right? And some people in philosophy would argue the fact that because life is pretty much set up in predetermined patterns, if you believe that, right? Patterns. Life is full of patterns, right? Human error is what gives rise to the possibility of free will being a real thing, right? You having an actual choice to do this or do that, rather than whatever choices you make were going to be predetermined by the last knock-on effect, right? Of whatever happened before you or whatever you did before determined your next 3 or 4 decisions, right? But when you're learning the piano, right, or you're just playing a melody on the keyboard, there's like a however percentage you want to calculate it to, there's a chance that your finger may just touch this note a little bit heavier than the last note, or you may touch the wrong note in between this melody. And like in jazz, like Miles Davis taught Herbie Hancock, you didn't play the wrong note, right? You played a note, and because I play this note to accompany your wrong note, it's now the right note, it's now a new chord, right? And that is the genius of Miles Davis and jazz and all of that, right? But that is the essential truth in making a mistake. You didn't make a mistake, you learn, right? Like I think Thomas Edison said he tried 10,000 different ways of making a light bulb that all failed, and what he says is he didn't fail 10,000 times, he learned 10,000 different ways of doing it wrong or not doing it, right? I don't remember the exact anecdote or quote, right? But just in that point of view. So in order for us to get to where we are today, right, in 2023, when I'm recording this, through technology and all of the brilliant social sciences, right, all the moralities, the laws, the philosophies, your medical advancement achievements, technological achievements, it all came about through trial and error, right? Inventors and thinkers thinking through problems, trying things, failing, taking a failed idea over here and adding a new spin on it and making it reusable or repurposed to something else, right? There's technology that people made to deal with just basic stuff on Earth that got repurposed for technology to go to space, right? And stuff that NASA does that gets repurposed for stuff we use on Earth, right? There's all kinds of examples of this day to day, right? So just think about that. What seems like a mistake to you may not seem like a mistake to someone else. That might be the key to a solution that someone has been looking for a long time. But because it doesn't fit into this pre-structured narrative of whatever it is you're doing right now, to you that's a mistake, so you throw that aside and dismiss it. However, it's highlighted to you because it doesn't fit in this structured pattern of what you already recognize or what you expect to happen, right? So it doesn't mean it's wrong, it just means it doesn't fit in this projected algorithm of how things usually go, right? So yeah, like they say, one man's trash is another man's treasure. Look at your mistakes like that too, right? Your mistakes aren't really mistakes, they're just learning, they're just nodes on the ever spiraling out fractal of life experiences, right? They're just a node, a yes, a no, a go, a stop, a left, a right. That's all it is. At this particular node and this point of time, you chose to go left instead of right, and because you chose to go left, imagine that, right? Anyway, I wasn't even thinking about doing left through my actual actions, right? But anyway, just because you chose to go left instead of right, look here, we don't know left or right. I do, right? I'm driving, obviously I do, okay? Anyway, just because you chose to go left and not right, you didn't make a mistake. It just brought you on a different branch of life's, like a mental map, brainstorm, if you will, right? Of a connecting node that will now, because you chose this left path, connect you to a new path, right? And it'll give you a new insight. Just like everybody would be watching you on your path as you hit this node point, this fork in the road, and they'll be screaming in the crowd like a pantomime, no, go right, and you're like, why, I'm going left, right? And they're like, no, don't go left, right, that's the chamber of secrets, don't go there, right? But you go, oh, fuck it, I'm going anyway, right? And you find out you're Harry Potter, and you know what I mean, and you unlock all kinds of superhuman powers that started out as a mistake that you got hit with a little wand and all kinds of nonsense, right? You can spiral into whatever kind of ideologies and ideas you want off the back of that, right? But it's true that people have a negative bias, so they will notice the one bad thing or the one thing that sticks out, that doesn't fit into this already preconceived pattern or algorithm of things, how they've been going. But like Einstein's trying to point out to you, it doesn't mean it's wrong, because he did it to prove a point, right? Do you get what I'm saying? So it's all about perspective and being able to look, learn and analyze things better with more clarity, right? And you understand your mistakes aren't a big deal, right? They're a big deal because of the way you're thinking about them. Just like we always fall back on, because I love Epictetus and Enchiridion, a Stoic point of view is not the situation, it's not the action in life that's happened, it's your subjective perspective of it, right? Because one situation does not affect another man the same way it affects you, right? So that should let you know it's not the issue of what has actually happened, it's my perspective of it. So just give yourself that empathy and that grace when you make a mistake, and afford that empathy and grace to another man and woman when they make a mistake too, right? Or what you perceive as a mistake, right? Because it's a perception game, right? It's not necessarily a fact. And another tangent that springs off of this is, although Einstein was doing a mathematical equation, maths is not something that exists outside of our minds, right? Maths is something that we've collectively agreed upon through a priori. I was about to say, well, whatever it is, it almost came back to me then, right? Awkward silence. Anyway, right? It's something you can come to by determining and dismissing other facts, right? I forget the word for it. My mind's not working very clearly in the morning, obviously, right? It begins with a D. If you know what I'm looking for, right? Let me know in the comments, right? It's deductive reasoning, right? So maths is something we can come to through deductive reasoning in our minds, right? It doesn't have to empirically exist in reality. And I think the word for that is, here it goes again, right? Whatever the opposite of a priori is. Look, there's them specialist cars again. That's probably what's got me. A posteriori or something like that, a posteriori or something like that. But it's that is, them two things are like they're like twins, right? A priori and a posteriori, right? If that's the right way to say it. One is something you can determine if it's true or false through just thinking about it logically, and the other you have to determine whether it's true or false by seeing physical, empirical evidence of it existing, right? So that's what I was trying to say anyway. Maths is something that doesn't actually exist in nature. It's a scheme that we've devised to measure things and to understand things better as humans. But like I said, philosophically speaking on maths, some people will argue the point is this: did we invent maths or did we discover maths, right? Although you can't empirically prove and see maths in nature, like there's a 1, there's a 2, and they add together to make 3, right? You can't. I had to question myself for a second then, because I'm just spiraling. But anyway, you can't physically see numbers in nature, right? You can say you see the Da Vinci Code or the golden ratio or whatever you think that is, right? But you can't actually see the numbers and the equations, right? So just like that, the point that Einstein used, he didn't use the numbers. What do you mean road closed? Ah, man, you mad. I think that road's closed. Like, I don't know what they're doing that. But yeah, what I was saying is, Einstein, although you can use maths to be precise and actually use maths for what it's meant for, Einstein used maths to prove a more a philosophical mind state kind of problem to you, right? And explained a bit of how human nature actually goes, why we react to certain things in the ways we do, right? So yes, as humans, we have that cognitive bias of seeing negative or something that doesn't fit in a pattern, right? That is what it was that jumped out at you. So just think about it like this: when you're on social media and you see 100 different posts that you're scrolling through, right, and your mind is refreshing every different post you look at. The minute you see something that's negative, or you see a negative comment on your own feed, right, it strikes you more, right, because it engages your emotional reaction to it, right. Whereas the good is so abundant that you don't take it. You take it for granted, right, in the sense that there's so much of it you don't even notice. Bloody hell, this is gonna be a long day, innit? Like, 2 roads are closed, and I'm running a little bit late already. This is annoying, like real world stuff, right, that you have to deal with. Now I've got to reroute. Like, you see what I'm saying? See the bias? You see that bias of negativity that just came over me, right, as you're watching? It's because of that, and I didn't appreciate the fact that, hey, the roads are open, I'm still able to drive, I'm still able to work, I'm still able to talk to you, right? So there were so many good things happening, but that one negative thing, it grabbed my attention, didn't it, right? So there you go. That's a real-time example of what I'm trying to explain to you. So understand that humans and the pseudoscience of psychology explains that negative things can form, like your mind forms neurons around experiences and emotions, right? Because emotions and all your experiences happen chemically. Everything in you, from a biological standpoint, although you feel like you're just experiencing a smooth rendering, like you're playing a game, it's all chemical reactions. Every last bit of your existence is chemical reaction, right? From being able to speak, to being able to look, to being able to think, to being able to have your heart beat, your blood move, all chemical reactions, right? So anyway, your mind forms its opinions or its reaction, and it's based on the stimulus of what it is you're experiencing. And if the stimulus that you're experiencing is negative, it fires up that chemical of anger, fear, and other questionable emotions, rather than reassurance and calm. And this is good. This makes me feel. This releases endorphins, right? So there's two ends of the spectrum. I'm not sure what the opposite of like those positive endorphins might be, right? There is a word for it, but I don't think I know it. I don't think I have that in my vocabulary, right? Or even my Rolodex of understanding, right? Why would I? I'm just a normal fucking person like you, right? But anyway, cognitively, you have a bias towards negativity. That's why you notice it, right? And as people, we've been indoctrinated to be in groups so much that when someone in the group does something different to what the whole group's doing, we automatically question it, because in the olden times or in ancient times, that person that's doing something different to the group could potentially risk the survival of the group, right? That's why we think like that, as pack animals. But most of us, through like learning more and understanding ourselves individually, are kind of more isolated outside of these kinds of groups and pack mentalities of thinking, right? Chances are, if you're watching this, you're kind of on the fringes or on the circumference of that way of thinking too, right? You make your own opinions, you think about things for yourself, even though you might believe things as generally as other people do, you usually think for yourself, right? And because you go down that route of thinking for yourself and discovery for yourself, you become an Einstein, you become Nikola Tesla, you know what I mean? You become Sir Isaac Newton's, because they questioned, right, and they found out why. They didn't just leave it as, well, we say apples fall because the gods shake trees. No. Let's find out why the interaction or energy of this apple falling means something, right? And then let's reverse engineer how the universe works from that, right? That's what people that think outside of the normative pack mentality do, right? And it's not just from a science place. It could be a style of driving, right? It could be a way of communicating. It could be a way of baking food. It could be a way of making garment. It could be anything, right? But I kind of went on for a tangent, didn't I, right? This whole podcast is a tangent, right? It's just real-time thoughts. But yeah, anyway. Oh, that's what I was saying. Like the pack mentality that pointed at Einstein and laughed at him for making a mistake aren't usually the types of people, or maybe they're just conforming to what the leader of the group or the most prominent people in the group do, but they aren't usually the type of people that are able to examine these kind of things and see what Einstein is actually trying to show you. They're more of a surface level of everything should fit in this pattern, everything should be in this algorithm. If something doesn't fit in this algorithm, in this pattern, it's wrong, right? And there's not a chance that this thing that doesn't fit in the algorithm and the pattern might actually lead us to new discoveries and new understandings and ways of living and thinking, right? Their chances are the people that will laugh at someone for making a mistake are those kinds of people, right? And they lack that empathy and that understanding of who humans are, right? I think I've lost my way, right? Oh no, I know where I am. City drivings. Anyway, Drivers Mate Podcast or Drivers Mate Podcast. Big up yourself, Einstein, right? And if you know more about Einstein and like, you know, all of that stuff, all of that science stuff. She blinded me with science, you know what I'm saying? All of that stuff, right? Let me know in the comments. Give me some things to go look at and check out. Other than that, check out my main channel at CNCCMI. Please like, subscribe, and share. And also sign up to the Patreon. There's exclusive stuff, right? You can see. Okay, where am I? Right? You can see podcasts. Oh, there we are. You can see podcasts in real time when I upload them instead of waiting on the schedule and waiting for the weeks to pass by before you get to see the new good stuff, right? And some of the best, more high quality stuff will be on Patreon anyway. Some things we just simply can't discuss on YouTube and Instagram and Facebook without getting the whole world being like, "What was this guy saying?" Right? And not actually thinking about what I'm saying. They will get emotional about what I'm saying instead, right? So if you're inclined to look and listen and learn and be inquisitive, or want to just simply help a person like myself, check out Patreon, right? I don't know if I have PayPal and all that you can donate to. I don't particularly care, right? I'm not in need. I just want to entertain you, right? And I want to build up a little bit of a community that we can actually find like-minded people and not have to be introverted loners who think too much, right? We'll be able to talk to each other as introverted loners that think too much through cameras and phones and computers and never see each other, right? That's what we will be able to do instead, right? So anyway, thank you for your time. I appreciate you as always, yeah? Drivers Mate Podcast or Drivers Mate Podcast. You tell me what you think. Do you like the overzealous one or do you like the subtle one? Like Drivers Mate Podcast and that, yeah? Anyway, right, thank you for your time. See you later.